Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Z Trigger Podcast. My name is William Hill.
I'm Brandon Harris.
And it is time for the Z Trigger Show again, obviously. Because that's what I just said. That's what we do here. We repeat things. How are you doing, Brandon?
Pretty good. And we do repeat things. We have gone over the same material, back-to-back weeks before. We talk about Nintendo a lot. We talk about the Xbox One a lot. This happens.
Yeah. Well, that's the nature of the video game industry right now because not much is happening. By the way, how much do you think our show's being content ID'd by YouTube right now?
Is Disney really being anal about their Star Wars stuff or something?
Well, I mean, it's literally playing the movie right now.
Hey. I don't know, man.
Okay, now it's video game. So if you are watching us here on the live stream, we are playing. Well, I'm playing the video game adaptation. That was not even a word. The video game adaptation of Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith for the PlayStation 2. I have owned this game for a very long time, and I've literally never played it. I bought this one in Louisiana for $5, actually.
Wow, that's $5 more than I would have paid.
Did you play it?
No, but it is a movie tie-in game, so I know better.
I mean,
even if it's mediocre, well, that dollar covers the mediocre.
Right. I mean, I'm expecting this game to be a decent beat 'em up at best.
A Star Wars beat 'em up.
Hey, it worked for Jedi Power Battles, although Jedi Power Battles was fucking hard. Mostly because the platforming was so garbage. Okay, so I can do Force powers. I guess they would be Sith powers. I almost said Sith powers, but I'm getting ahead of myself with our podcast recordings because we are doing we're doing a Star Wars book review on our next podcast. So if you're watching the stream, stick around. Otherwise, Brandon, what have you been playing this week?
Not a lot, to be honest. I've mostly been reading that horrible book.
Don't give any spoilers, Brandon.
And in between, each story, I had to wash my mind out with something good or decent. So I spent most of the week reading. I did do some more ESO. I'm now the more I played, the more I find little things that I'm not quite happy with their decision on how they do it. The main thing right now is when it comes to resource gathering, say if you want to do smithing or woodcrafting, do that type of stuff, the crafting stuff. Just getting the resources is a pain in the ass. When you play World of Warcraft or hell, even Final Fantasy 14, if you go in the woods and you want wood, you just chop down a fucking tree. Hey, there's a tree next to you. You can chop it down. Not here. Not in Elder Scrolls. Only very select logs can be farmed, and they are few and far between. Same thing goes with different mineral deposits. I don't know if it's because in this game it has a bit of a prehistoric way of doing things. With Final Fantasy 14, when you go and gather a tree, that tree is only affected in your game. You may be playing with others, but I could chop down that tree, the guy next to me could chop down the tree, and 100 other people can chop down that damn tree. Not in the ESO. In Elder Scrolls Online, if I farm a tree, chop up a tree, no one else can take that tree until it respawns. Same thing with mineral deposits.
Jeez.
That is a very archaic way of doing things. It used to be that way, I know, before World of Warcraft. I can't remember. I'm fairly sure World of Warcraft doesn't do that. At least not anymore.
It's been a very long time since I've played World of Warcraft, so I can't say.
I can't remember, and I do remember doing a lot of resource gathering when I played, but I just don't. It's been so long. But it seems like a very dumb way of doing things. I realize that it's all supposed to make me believe that we're all inhabiting this one world, but
what good is that if it makes the game less fun?
Yeah, but in terms of a game, it's very annoying. And if I want to do resource gathering, I sort of have to hope I can find and hoard a spot that no one else knows about, just so I can get a constant supply. Otherwise, you're kind of lucky that you just happen to run into stuff. And then there's the other problem of just knowing if it's a tree that you can mine or not. I mean, not every tree is allowed, but it doesn't exactly just show itself off as it being able to. It has a perk that you have to get after leveling up your wood crafting or whatever. You have to earn that ability, but it's hard to earn that ability when I can't find the damn trees in the first place. So there's just little things, and I know stuff like that harpens back to the beginning of the game, where people would have a hard time doing quests because everyone would share the quest. Say if there's a boss and you kill the boss and someone else is trying to do the quest, well, guess what? They can't do it because you just killed the boss, so they have to fucking wait. So, back when the game first released, there would be hordes of people waiting around a boss spawn point, either trying to do the quest or just farming the boss. But unlike other MMOs where just being in the vicinity will make it count for you, here you literally have to do it yourself or it does not count. So you have to kill the boss or it does not count.
Jesus. That sounds like some old school MMO stuff right there.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
Because I actually do remember there being issues like that with World of Warcraft when I played.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and by that I mean I got to one of the first I don't even know if you could. It's not a raid. It was one of the first dungeon areas there.
Okay.
And there was a boss in there. And there was 30 or 40 people all at once trying to fight the boss at the same time. And that's fine because that's the nature of the game. But they would finish the boss, and I would be trying to loot the area, and then the boss came back and ruined me.
That's one of the things I liked about Guild Wars 2. I should go back to that because I thoroughly enjoyed what I played of that one, and one of the things that still stands out in my mind was I was just wandering around this swamp area, and I just happened to come across this gigantic gathering of people, and I was like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, this fucking gigantic ass monster just jumps out of the water. I was like, holy shit. And so we all started attacking. I died, and thankfully enough, there's plenty of white mages around, so they're all willing to bring you back, because in that game, assisting other people gives you benefits. It rewards you for helping people.
Nice.
But regardless, though, just being there and helping kill this thing still netted you that you did it. You didn't have to do it all yourself. You didn't have to be in a party to do it. It's just you were there, you swung your sword or cast your magic, here you go. You just had to stay there the entire time and fight. And you got it. That's how it should be. I helped, I should be rewarded. Not, oh, sorry, you didn't actually do it yourself, so you get nothing.
Jeez. Well, but you're still enjoying it though, right?
Yeah, I just haven't, like I said, I just haven't played it just because I've been mostly reading. Like, I would The books I've been reading are so short that I would read a short story, read a novel. Next day, read a short story, read a novel. Because the novels are like an average around 218 pages. They are very much alike to Raymond Chandler's. His novels are really short, but they don't waste pages with fluff, and that's what these books do. So I was able to do a lot of reading this week.
Very nice. Very nice indeed. I have read one book this week and some of another that I like a lot more, but we'll save that for the other show. But as for gaming, it's my turn to talk about gaming.
Yeah, because I didn't play anything else that I remember.
All right. Well, I played. I finished Xenosaga 2 this week.
Yay!
I have finished that game. I did everything I could possibly do without going into post-game content, and it's done. No, there's no way in hell. I have played few RPGs that, to that end, and that I've enjoyed as little as that game. It is not good. But I did finish it, and here's the funny thing, and I haven't been able to talk about this on the, I finished it, like Monday or something, so I've not been able to talk about this on the show. So beating the final boss, I know I've talked about this previously, how whenever I beat the boss before, I would get to like 3,000 HP, and then he would wreck me with this long series of attacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, that's traditional final boss stuff, but in this case, it's literally a giant middle finger in the middle of the last of the boss fight. Because 3,000 HP, you could almost take that out with simple attacks. So I go into it, with my upgraded characters a little bit and all this stuff that I've done to finish the game. And I did my first round of heavy attacks, and it got him down to 17,000 HP. And that's great. But then I had this long time period where all I did was I kept my health up. Mm-hmm. And while keeping my health up, I just did like nickel and dime attacks until I had him down to about 10,500 HP. And then I stumped him in one more set of combos. And it was really dumb. It was literally one of the worst final bosses I've ever played, because it has the potential to just wreck you if you don't play it cheap like I did. But because I played cheap, I beat him and the game's over. But I'm leaving out something very important I want to talk about. So I've talked about how bad this game is and how much it disappointed me following how wonderful Xenosaga 1 was. Mm-hmm. And how I felt like nothing I did really mattered and over the course of the story, and how it just felt like a dead end plot wise, and everything's just so boring. All right. Then I finished the game, and I am not kidding whenever I say this. The scenes that follow the final boss were so damn good that I didn't completely hate myself for having finished this game. And let me tell you why. Okay, so a lot of the stories about follows Junior's plot. Mm-hmm. How he and Albedo are brothers, along with Negredo. And that was a very important part of the plot, where Cosmos and Shion were more important to the first game's plot. And they hardly got any screen time in this one. So he unites with some serious mojo stuff because the Xenosaga's techno jargon is way too complicated for me to even try to start dealing with on a podcast and it be any way entertaining. So we're going to just say he merged with the thing and became godlike. So you go into the giant, like, space-time warp where he's, like, hold himself up at the end. And you get these scenes from their childhood together, and they are fucked. Like, I'm not even kidding. This was some of the most incredible, like, writing this game has had, period. And I know that's not saying much considering how bad the writing was, you know, to that point, but, like, it's so good, Brandon. Where he's choking the shit out of a Realian, you know, one of the little androids that look like girls, like Momo. You know, she was a Realian. And he's choking the piss out of one of them. And, you know, and he comes in, and of course, you know, Junior goes in there to fight him. It's like, don't fucking do that, you psychopath, and all this other shit. But, okay, that's not even the one that was, like, really just jarring. So, the other one, now remember, this is, like, Kid Albedo. I know I'm telling you, like, spoilers, but I think you will never actually go back and finish this game.
No. If anything, I'll just end up watching the cutscenes on YouTube.
Well, so Albedo, it's like Kid Albedo. He's like 10 or whatever. He looks like Junior in these cutscenes. And he is digging graves for everyone he knows. He says, I'm doing this so that I won't be sad when I kill you. I'm like, well, this just cranked the what the fuck. But it's just so much more interesting and I mean, and maybe it's just the fact that, you know, I'd been dealing with such mediocre crap beforehand, but I genuinely liked what was going on in that last, like, half hour of the game. It was so much better than the rest of the story had been to that point. I was actually kind of impressed with what was going on. Does it make up for how complete garbage the rest of the game was? No. Not even close. Because I spent 43 hours trying to finish that game overall. And that's pretty horrendous. Like, if your game is 43 hours of garbage and then, you know, a little bit of good at the end, no, it doesn't make up for it. Now, that said, I'm looking forward to playing the third one at some point. I don't know when, because I just started to run a Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age for the PS4. Now, this is the game I've spent more time with this week because I've had more time for it. Actually, I want to talk about one other thing. I've also picked up a 14-year-old save file of Star Ocean: The Second Story, which has not been going well. I'm at the final boss, and I tried to fight him this afternoon.
He killed you again?
Oh my god, Brandon. He's got this giant fuck you attack where a stone golem comes out of the ground and pounces on the fucking battlefield that you're on, and it kills both of my mages from full health. And I've told you my strategy. I'm using the bloody armor, the cheap version, the cheap way to beat the game.
Mm-hmm.
And and they can't live without the mages. So we still got a ways to go in terms of, like, preparation and grinding. I've considered going to the cave that's back on the main planet so that I can do more high-end grinding and maybe get some good loot.
Mm-hmm.
But I have not dedicated myself to that because, frankly, I've never been worth a crap at the battle engine in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll get back to it. Now, on to something that you can actually join me in conversation with. Final Fantasy XII. Brandon is not the biggest fan of Final Fantasy XII.
To be fair, I'm just not that big of a fan of that world in general.
That's true, because you also didn't like tactics. And, well, There's one game you did like, though.
Yeah, that was Vagrant Story. And honestly, its connection with everything else is so little that it's just in name only. Like, they say it's a part of it because it only is because they say it is. Otherwise, you would never know.
That's actually not true. In terms of, because it's actually a part of that world. Because I've been playing Final Fantasy Tactics, and in Tactics, they actually mentioned Valendia in like some of the cutscenes. So Valendia was a place mentioned in the original game, so it's intended to be part of that same world. Now,
so
that's
a brief mention?
Well, it's a completely different continent.
It doesn't matter. That bullshit. That is complete and utter bullshit. You can do stuff like that, in like Elder Scrolls does shit like that, but it does it a lot better, as in it gives you material to work with that tells you about these other locations and stuff that's happened in these other locations. Just mentioning a different continent does shit all. It does nothing. Especially when the game that actually takes place during that continent is so localized to just a few people that it still doesn't matter. It could have literally happened anywhere, but because we wrote those names there, then it's a part of the world. Otherwise, there's nothing about it that connects the two worlds. And that, to me, in terms of like storytelling, is not very good.
Well, to be fair, I mean, they talk about something that happened there, but the games were made like 3 years apart. They didn't take place at the same time.
That's still bullshit.
How so? It takes place at a completely different era. It's not like Vagrant Story and Tactics take place at the same time.
I know, but if it's such an important event, why wouldn't it get more than just a mention of the continent?
Oh no, it's something taking place elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, it's only a part of it because they say it is. The game could literally happen in any other world, and it would not matter. Just like with them saying that, like the whole damn Final Fantasy 13 and its fucking game they had on PS4. What the fuck's the name of that game? Type 0. The only reason it's a part of that world is because they say it is. Otherwise, there's nothing that actually links it that matters.
Okay, that's not even fair, because you can at least see the places on where the continents meet with the Evil East worlds. Type 0 and 13, I'll give you. Those games have nothing in fucking common.
I'm just saying that if you're going to do world building and do stuff like that, then it needs to actually matter. Like, I can see if in Tactics I found a book and it started going over the history of the events that happened in this game. Or something, anything to link the worlds more than just saying, yeah, this takes place on this continent because. To me, that's not good enough. It needs deeper roots than that to really count, in my opinion.
Well, you're also dealing with a different type. This type of storytelling that's going on in these games is not exactly conducive. It's not like you're reading a novel where the events are so intricately linked. You're still dealing with a character-driven Japanese role-playing game
that's trying to build a gigantic world at the same time.
It is, and there's degrees of that happening, but tactical games don't tell stories that well anyway.
No, they don't. That's one of the reasons why I don't like them very well that much.
Like they literally have to rely on their cutscenes, and that's not good. That's not as good of storytelling as it could possibly be. And I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I understand the limitations as well. And there's some people who think that Tactics is the best written Final Fantasy game. I disagree with them because there's such broad strokes on that have to take place in the storytelling, because you get like exposition dumps and all your character strife is taking place on a fucking checkerboard.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that I do like, that I prefer about the remake on PSP, is that at least when it's doing that sort of thing, you have You have like actual video cutscenes, so you see drawings of characters interacting rather than these little sprites on a checkerboard grid. Which, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with sprites and storytelling, but they are not as animated as, say, Final Fantasy VI or even 4 for that matter. Those are much better illustrated stories than what we get from Tactics. So, but anyway, replaying 12 has starting to replay 12 has been very interesting for me. So, obviously, I don't have an issue with it. You clearly have not got the best history with it, and that's fine. And I'm not even criticizing it because I still agree with your assessment of Final Fantasy 12 that it's not as good as it needs to be. But that said, I'm enjoying the story a lot more this time than I did the first. Partially, I guess, because of my reduced expectations. And also, I'm not looking for it to be as good as, say, even Final Fantasy X, which told its story much more directly and had a character-driven story rather than a politics-generated story. But I'm looking for more from the story than I did the last time, and trying to get into the political conversation of it rather than the characters, because I know, like, I'm in Bujerba right now, saving Pinello from getting kidnapped because she's just a worthless damn character, and I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. Vaughn's story is already over. And that's pretty damn pathetic from a writing perspective whenever he's supposed to be the main character. And I'm getting pretty clear picture, from the fact that I've played this before, just how important Balthier's story is from the outset rather than Vaughn's. And Bosch's story is more interesting. Like, there's so much more that can be done in this game than Vaughn is even fucking important to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing that this time, and I'm not just sitting there being pissed off that Vaughn is the main character, So I might enjoy it more this time. Also, there's some excellent character animation going on in terms of the storytelling. So I didn't realize this the first time because I wasn't really thinking about, the implications of certain things that were going on. But the scene with Larsa in the mines, mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember this part, but you go to the mines and the guy that who's like the brother to one of to the guy who's just taken over Rabanastra. Mm-hmm. There's a excellent fucking character facial detail when Balthier's questioning him after they do after they deal with the whole Magicite situation, and then the guys come, and then the Banga, the big lizard men come in there and start their shit. But there's the facial illustrations, this is a spoiler for anybody who hasn't played this game before, but you played all this part. You get a very clear picture that Balthier's not just a sky pirate, that he's got more going on in his story than, his person would have suggested at that stage in the story. So that's interesting. That's a great detail that I didn't notice the first time I played, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else I noticed this time that I didn't the first time, because I was expecting Vaughn to be the character that he was not. So there's that. And also, I learned a thing. Amanda told me a thing today that I think you will find very interesting, Brandon, about Final Fantasy XII. We have always said that Vaughn's a worthless piece of shit and there's no reason for him to be in the story, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What if I told you he was originally not in the game?
Would probably make sense.
Originally, Bosch was 100% the main character. And he was going to be the guy you started the game with and continued through the plot with until the end. There was no Vaughn, there was no Penelo. But then Square Enix stepped in and said, you can't have a main character that's that old. They won't relate to him. So, a business decision decided that the main character of the story would not be the main character of the story. And this little pipsqueak dick pimple of a character became the main character because he's young. That was the entire point of Vaughn being there, was to be a young character to have on the screen.
I guess my question would be, then why not make Bosch younger?
You see, that makes perfect sense. but I think
because, you know, they've been able to just, you know, brush away, you know, young characters have already been through a lot. You know, they've done that many times, and there's no reason they couldn't have done it again.
Yeah, I mean, in Final Fantasy VIII, hell, like, they were teenagers and, like, their lives sucked. Cloud wasn't that old in Final Fantasy VII.
Nope.
And
it's so not uncommon for, especially in the setting that it's in, for people to get into the military young. So it is very rational. You can actually ration it out very easily of why he would be a young disgraced knight. There's absolutely no reason it could not have worked.
But no, they just had to make a new character, a really shitty one. But I digress. In addition to all of that, I've been, you know, very interested. One of the reasons I wanted to play this was that this was the version that Japan got that we did not, which was the International Zodiac job system, and it basically takes that massive license board and turns it into something that's manageable from an outside perspective. You can actually complete these boards and not feel overwhelmed that you have to get everything because it's there and you won't have a flexible character otherwise. And I really actually kind of dig what they did with the job system this time actually having a job system, because I can bring in a different type of character strategy than I did before. And the gambits can actually mean something whenever I start getting more into how I set those up. Which I have not gotten into the gambit menu and messed around with it as much as I need to yet, because they did keep one thing that I hated from the original. Okay, the gambit system, I know you hate it, and that's fair. But one of the things that I do like the concept, the thing I didn't like about it is that you had to buy the different options that you could use in the gambit system. And this is literally thousands upon thousands of gil in options for that system. I don't mind that you have to buy slots, because then you can build that strategy over time. But instead, I have to sit there and futz around with this damn thing, and it's somewhat ineffective in the grand scheme until like 30 hours into the game, whenever I finally have bought all of the options that I shouldn't have to fucking buy. I do not understand this, and the thing is, they don't cost so much that it's incredibly restrictive. Like, you can choose a pretty good set to start with, but I shouldn't have to. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it just seems dumb. But that's just a minor gripe. I'm looking forward to keeping on with it. Joe's actually really digging it, and her sentiment is an accurate one. This is Final Fantasy trying to be a little bit bigger than its britches in many ways,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I kind of like to say that Final Fantasy 12 is Final Fantasy trying to do Game of Thrones political intrigue, but it's not. Yeah, I don't think it's there.
No.
I really don't.
I think that was the other thing. If they could have at least gotten the political intrigue interesting, then I wouldn't have minded everything else. It's just everything was so lacking. It's like they were trying to do a bunch of different things with the story, but none of it was very well developed. It just wasn't.
Right.
None of it was deep. It was like a jack of all trades, but they mastered at none of it.
That game stayed in development for way too long. I think that game is actually indicative of a problem that Square was about to start having even worse, where they spent too much time in development on games with where the technology was impressive,
Mm-hmm.
but as a result of the technology being impressive, they didn't spend enough time nailing down the plot. Which, because like I mentioned last week, where they actually spent a lot of time trying to get the Gambit system to work correctly and operate the way they designed it to, and give you that level of control over characters that you weren't playing as immediately. That was 6 months they spent on that they didn't spend getting the writing on point. And that shouldn't be the case, because those writers should be working at a different time period than, say, working in a different space on different things than the game designers. And whenever you have crap like Square saying, "Oh, you can't have this old dude as your main character," that's not okay. So I feel like the long development times that we started seeing here are a big part of the problem with Final Fantasy 12. But I will see more as I continue the game. I'm really trying to give it another fair shot, like I said I would. And so far I'm still enjoying the game part. I kind of like what they did with the game. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy by a long shot, but I'm digging it for what it is and just accepting that and playing regardless, And also I'm going to totally go after all the hunts this time, because I didn't do that the last time. And I kind of feel like I, ignored something that was at least fun. I wish it was as well written as the hunts that you do in The Witcher,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm having fun. So, but yeah, 12. And also, I guess I'm playing this Star Wars game. I'm on mission 4, I think. How many missions are there, Brandon? 16. So we're going to see how far I can get on this Star Wars game tonight while we record our podcast. I'm grabbing droids by the face and then jerking them around. It's fun. This is a dumb game, but it's fun. Like, by the amount of time I've been playing this game while we've been recording the show,
Mm-hmm.
I have the movie. They would have been off of the ship by now in the movie. Oh. Well, anyway, speaking of Star Wars, do you want to talk about the stuff from D23 today?
D23?
Yeah, there were some announcements about Kingdom Hearts and Star Wars at D23 today.
Oh, I guess D stands for Disney, and I didn't know they
Yeah.
had. I didn't know they had like an event. This seemed kind of. Why does everyone have an event?
Well, I mean, Disney does it because they have Star Wars now, and they can totally talk about Star Wars and make some money off of people traveling to Orlando to see Star Wars stuff. Is it Orlando or is it Tampa? I can't. I think it's Orlando. Well, anyway, they put out a little behind the scenes video and showed some new scenes and stuff from The Last Jedi, and Lenovo has announced that they've built their own VR gaming headset with Star Wars stuff in it. Because, what we needed was another fucking VR headset. I'm genuinely astonished that there's more VR headsets coming out.
Well, now that everyone else has done it, and that everyone can start producing much cheaper versions.
True.
The technology's already made. They just have to copy it.
That's so lame. It's so lame. But I mean, I guess that's the nature of technology, to be copied and boring. Anyway, but I watched the only thing I really paid attention to out of all that was the
it's not VR headset. It's not a VR headset.
It's not?
It's an augmented reality headset.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah, that's not quite the same thing. But
no, it's not.
That is probably dumb.
Yeah.
I will not be buying that. I am not that big of a Star Wars fan. I'm so sorry.
I am that big of a Star Wars fan, and I'm not going to buy it. Oh, speaking of Star Wars, we're getting content ID'd right now.
Are you really?
No, I mean, I don't know that we are, but I'm sure that whenever this video is finished, it's going to get content ID'd to hell. You want to start singing Chains of Love, Brandon?
No.
Oh, man. But, as far as video game news, I mean, this wasn't that big of a deal, although it's sad that, with all the video game stuff that we could be getting out of D23, we could be seeing the Amy Hennig Star Wars game from Visceral, and we're not. Instead, we're getting Kingdom Hearts news, which was surprising. I've got a couple of tidbits about that game today. Oh, I'm fighting Christopher Lee right now, by the way.
Woo.
I refuse to call him by his stupid Star Wars name because Count Dooku is not a good Sith Lord name. I'm sorry. This is actually kind of awesome. But anyway, we have a release window for Kingdom Hearts 3, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming out in 2018. Are you as stunned as I am?
I still ain't out yet.
Well, I mean, no. I'm stunned that they had the balls to say that it might come out in 2018.
I mean, a lot of people put out dates and then will, like a month before, say, "Oh, no, sorry, we're pushing it back like half a year to make sure all the bugs are worked out." And when it comes out, all the bugs aren't worked out. That thing always gets me is when these companies do this, they're like, "Yeah, we're going to make sure it's as polished as it can be," and when it comes out, there's still a fucking patch. It's like, yeah, as polished as it can be, huh?
To be fair, the day one patch, there wasn't a day one patch for Final Fantasy 15.
Are you sure? At this point, I can't remember, but I'm fairly sure
I don't think
there probably was.
I think there was a really small one, but there wasn't like a 15 gigabyte day one patch, which is what I'm used to them being, And Anakin is dead. This is actually tough. That's going to happen. I'm almost certain that it's not going to come out in 2018 because it's just not. There's no way in hell this game's coming out in 2018 because that would mean it's going to be finished. And frankly, I don't believe that it's going to be finished at all. So 2019 is more likely. I don't think everybody needs to get so damn excited about the actual release date because it's just not even remotely fucking possible that this game will be done. And that's my optimistic me. I mean, I still think 2020 is more possible because it's Nomura and Nomura sucks. It's bad. Like, Amanda, our roommate, is a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, and even she's like, "Fuck no, there's no way that he needs to be in the director's chair about anything." So even whenever the fans of this series are getting let down, it's are getting down on the guy. It's rough. Oh man, but. We'll see. We'll see if it comes out next year. Now, the other thing that they showed is something I'm less excited about than most people, and that's that they have a Toy Story world in this game.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I was like, yay.
That's just not that appealing to me. I mean, I was never that big of a fan of Toy Story anyway. I know that's like blasphemy or whatever, but that's not my favorite animated film of all time, even close. It's not my favorite Disney movie. It's not even close to my favorite Disney movie. They've already done my favorite Disney movies in this fucking series. So I want them to do the fucking Great Mouse Detective and try and get the rights to use Vincent Price's lines from the movie or something. That would be awesome.
Well, I mean, with Toy Story, you can do another gimmick. Look for the characters like they did with Halloween Town.
That's true, but I hated Halloween Town. I hated Halloween Town almost as much as I hate fighting Christopher Lee in this lightsaber battle. You can tell he's a Sith Lord because he's kicking my ass. I died again. Stupid Anakin, you suck. But that's not that exciting of a world. But I'm pretty sure that it's a better world to reveal just on the simple grounds of, even if I don't like it, mm-hmm. I know that there are a lot of huge fans of it. So it's also a big Disney convention that they revealed this at, and that means things that Disney fans are big on should be shown there. And nobody fucking talks about the Great Mouse Detective. I'm kind of kidding when I say that would be awesome, because it would only really be awesome to me. And that's just the reality of it. Oh.
It would be the first time they included a world that's not exactly the most popular. I mean, didn't they include like the old Mickey Mouse stuff in the? Yeah,
but at least that's at least got history behind it. Nobody, I mean, I'm dead serious. The Great Mouse Detective is one of the Disney films that came out whenever Disney was not doing as well. So I don't even think Disney would be that excited about it. Which is sad, because I remember that being a pretty cool movie. I mean, I didn't know who Vincent Price was when I saw it, but I do now, and that makes it awesome, What's a world that you would actually make you less cynical about playing the game? Okay, let me change that, because it's a game worth being cynical over. What's a world that would actually be interesting to see in a Kingdom Hearts game? And please don't say Star Wars, because I don't want to see that myself.
Honestly, I don't really know. I feel like they've done most of the big ones, and I'm not exactly the most educated among their smaller movies.
Yeah. And that's another problem with the format that they've got going, is that they're going to run out of recognizable material. And speaking of recognizable material, the two that just came to mind that would actually be really cool to do it in a role-playing game setting are Treasure Planet and Atlantis, the Lost Empire, which were not successful films. So I just mentioned two things that will not happen because nobody fucking cares about those movies anymore, I guess. I'm gonna die again against Count Dooku. He's a dick. Oh my god, he just fucking comboed me fucking ground. This is hard as shit.
I thought you were supposed to be stronger, Anakin. What happened?
Yeah, Anakin, you're such a little pushover. A little bitch. I didn't realize until like the second time I was fighting this that Count Dooku does have his own health bar, and he is not taking as much damage as I would like for him to. Oh, man. I'm going to continue playing this, though, and I'm going to persevere because this game's way too short to not sit down and play through the whole thing. All right, so let's say farewell. Let's talk about this Nintendo news that you brought to the table this fine week, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's your news. Let's hear it.
Just that the original new 3DS models in Europe and Japan are being axed. Not here in America, just there. I guess they still sell well enough here that they're still going to keep them around, but they're tossing them out. Which I'm not. Based on what they were saying with like numbers, it's really not that surprising. No one was really buying it. They were just buying the XL or the 2DS version.
Yeah. Which, I mean, let's be honest. I don't even see regular 3DSs in stores anymore.
You mean the new 3DS?
No, regular 3DS.
Oh,
like, I see new 3DS, but I don't see 3DS.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's because they canceled those long ago.
Do you get the feeling that it's the slow like fade out of the 3DS line? Like this is the beginning. Like we're gonna be like 2 years from now, we're gonna be seeing the actual end of the 3DS, and this is just the first step. Or do you think that
maybe just
Nintendo
the component of the 3D? I mean, because you can still get the XL version. I mean, they're not completely getting. They're just the small version they're getting rid of because everyone who buys one is going to buy the bigger screen. Why wouldn't you?
That's true. Yeah.
At this point, why would you buy the smaller one? When I buy one, it's going to be the new 2DS. I'm not buying a 3DS. I have no game really. Like I bought a couple of newer games for the 3DS, and they don't even have 3D. They don't even attempt to put the feature in there because no one really used it.
I mean, I when I use it, whenever I'm playing my 3DS, do you know how long I use the 3D?
Long enough to see how it looks, then turn it back off again.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I do. Every time I get a new game, I put it in and I flip it on long enough to see what it does, if it does anything, like now, and see how nice it is. After that, I flip it off because there's
no point. Yeah,
I don't want to use it because you have to hold the screen at a certain angle. It's just it wasn't very conventional for anybody. I mean, we want to relax, and the relaxing posture for people isn't always going to be what the 3DS likes. So it's kind of pointless.
Jesus.
Cool idea, but...
and the tech was very impressive. I mean, it's still very cool from a technological level. But is it vital to my gaming experience? Nope. I turn it off as soon as I've seen how cool the game looks with 3D, and then it's over, and I move on to playing the game. And even games that I've played before, I'll mess around with it for a little bit, and then I'll go and then I'll go back to what I was doing. But it's not something I keep on. Also, it drains the shit out of the battery.
Yeah, it does. Which is weird, seeing how, if I'm not mistaken, it's just mirrors, right?
Yeah, but it also, I think it also, I want to say that it has an effect on, I want to say that it has an effect on, I just died again. No, don't die. It's over. Sorry, I'm trying not to die in this very challenging boss fight in this otherwise dead simple game. And I just died. Fuck. I got really close that time. And there are no... there's no way to... there's no checkpoints. That's the word I'm looking for. There's no checkpoints. I think I was just talking about how the screen works, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that it does something with like a second screen on the inside or something like that. It actually does have a different mode for screen use in addition to the mirrors. But I don't know. It's been so long, like, because I used to write on a website about the 3DS, so
I'm sort of
I'd remember shit.
surprised when they released the new 3DS. One of the things they didn't do was update the tech, so maybe you didn't have to hold the screen at a certain angle, that it just worked wherever you held it.
That would be very hard to do on a technological level. Like, I don't know that that's even possible without glasses. So, but
no, you should be able to, because I mean, I've seen like little tech demos inside of Best Buy of 3D things that you can look at different angles and you still get the 3D effect. And this is just like little tech demos for like speakers and shit. Nothing that's like heavy duty. It's just.
Did you say for speakers?
Yes, it was for a speaker. I remember this. I can't remember who the maker was, but they have this. It was the speakers encased in this glass thing, and it has this a 3D effect going on to catch your attention, and it looks really cool. And no matter what angle you look at it, you still get this 3D stuff going on inside. So it can be done. It's just whether or not you just want to put forth the money to research it to implement it. And more than likely, they probably didn't, because no one was using it before, and just because you update it now, people probably still won't use it.
Right.
Because they're so used to not using it.
I'm sorry if I'm talking less. This boss is hard as hell. But no, I feel. I mean, I do think that on some level, we will eventually see an into the 3DS line. I don't think it's soon. Like, there's a lot of people, breaking out the doom and gloom, and I don't think that that's true. Like, Nintendo has too much invested in it, and until that Pokemon game for the Switch comes out, that shit ain't gonna happen. They've got to continue selling their Pokemon machines, And they're just not there yet. It'll happen, but it's not going to be anytime soon. I don't think this is the death knell for the system or anything.
No.
Like, half the damn anti-Nintendo sites are out there, saying. I want to know something. The game just took a second to go into a cutscene showing a droid that I dropped down the energy well. And then it went back into a brand new camera angle for a few seconds. Don't you get the fuck up, you asshole! Asshole. This game is so damn hard. Okay, this game has not been hard until this boss fight. It's not unfair exactly, but it is very hard. I've gotten to the end of it twice, but that's when he breaks out the lightning and shit. That's just mean. Now, that's it. I do want to get a new 2DS at some point. I don't know how I will. There's no way that Joe will think that that's a smart purchase, but I think they're very cool. So when you get yours, you're going to have to bring it around so I can look at it at least.
Well, I feel like for the price is, it's really good for the price. That's much cheaper than the other ones out. Are they going to lower the price on the ones that are already out?
I doubt it.
It seems really sort of dumb not to. Dude, you're destroying that fucking controller. Jesus Christ, man. Cool down.
There's a part where he'll your blades will get locked together and you'll have to fight him back off, otherwise he does a really nasty fucking combo on you, and I don't know how to stop it. It's given little tutorial bits for everything but that. And there we go again. Die, you son of a bitch. See, he's ruining me. I don't know if I'm able to play through this game or not. Here we go again. Yeah, this is not going well. He is stomping me this time. I might just let him kill me and move on. And the thing is, the 3DS still has a pretty decent slate of games coming out. They're actually treating the new 2DS launch as a launch, and they've got 2 titles coming up for it. And neither of them are exclusive to the new 3DS type systems. Mm-hmm. But, which has been the problem with this hardware all along, in my opinion, in terms of trying to give it that new design or whatever. They're trying to treat it like it's more than it is, because they won't they won't give it games that are going to move it as new hardware, yet it's only selling just because it's the thing that's in stores, which is odd, at least to me anyway. So, but
it's been one of the most pointless releases I've ever seen. For one, calling it the new whatever, that was dumb.
Yes.
Nintendo, let's think about this for a little bit. You had the Wii, and then you had the Wii U. You confused the fuck out of everybody because the marketing department just shed itself. What made you think that this wouldn't confuse people? Just putting new in front of the title. What made you think that was just okay? I'm sorry.
It's Nintendo logic.
Well, Nintendo logic doesn't actually reflect the rest of the world. These people do live in the real world.
I don't know, man. Mushrooms that eat giant.
I didn't say they weren't Japanese. I just said they live in the real world.
Even then, I don't know if you're remembering the studio you're talking about.
That was dumb. And then not actually pushing it. I mean, I know there's more than one, but I can only remember one. And it's the only reason why one of the reasons why I'm buying, because I want to play that one. And $150 is now cheap enough that I'll be willing to spend the money to buy that, and also get access to the Super Nintendo games. But why didn't they push that more? Why didn't they make developers go to the other system?
Because third-party titles are not as good on the 3DS as the first-party stuff. If you notice, there's not that many studios making games for the 3DS that are actual good games. It's rare.
Honestly, I've not really noticed that many games, period.
Yeah.
I guess in reality, the hardware has been around for too long, and it's time for an actual change and not just a minor upgrade.
Then that's what the Switch, I think, needs to be.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they won't just admit to that. Maybe because they want people to still go out and buy this thing. Which, you could just turn around and save yourself money and not release a new line of hardware. You could just, keep going with what you already have. Maybe lower the price a little bit.
You're asking an awful lot there, buddy.
I guess so. Just a little intelligence is all I'm asking for here.
From Nintendo, though.
Yeah, and really, I don't know why they just don't. They really should just market the Switch as a handheld console that just so happens that you can treat it as a home console too. That was my main reason of buying it. There's not a single damn thing that they have shown that's made me buy it other than the idea that no matter what game they released on it, it can also be portable.
Except for that one stupid tablet port. That's on the eShop, but that's not Nintendo. That's stupid developer not doing a very smart thing with their crappy game.
I probably wouldn't buy it anyway. I don't know what it is, but
no, it got really crap reviews, so it's not shocking that you haven't heard about it. It's not like Snake Run or whatever it was that people got really excited about for a week.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so they just they're wasting money. I mean, I'm sure people will go out and buy this because Nintendo people have their fanatics like Apple does, and they'll just keep buying the new iteration because they're stupid.
Yeah, there's
I mean,
like Pro Jared talking about how many damn 3DSs he's got with Reggie in that Switch announcement video.
I mean, I can understand, to a degree, before we knew that no one was going to do any titles for it, but going from the 3DS to the new 3DS, I can understand that jump because more powerful hardware, possibility of better games, more complicated games. That never happened, but, there was that possibility. So I can understand that jump. But going from one 3DS to another 3DS just because it has a different outer shell is pretty fucking retarded, people.
God, and look at how many like special systems have sold for the to the 3DS
bracket. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's like, oh, this one has a Zelda shell. I'm gonna buy it. You already have 5 others. I don't care. I'm buying it anyway. I've never understood that type of fandom, even for Apple products, Nintendo products. I'll buy Nintendo products. Sometimes it'll be in the beginning. Sometimes it'll be later on down the road. But I'm never going to buy this product and then next year buy the upgraded version. What's funny is we give Xbox crap, but Nintendo's already been doing what they're doing.
And, at least Nintendo's not quite as notorious about it, because Nintendo did the new 3DS thing, and they were like, yeah, we got the new 3DS coming out. And it's the new 3DS, but they didn't act like it was the second coming of Christ like Microsoft has.
And to a degree, I don't know, it's
like from a business, from a business position, at least Microsoft's getting behind their fucking hardware.
Yeah, I guess the thought is that while on one hand it's not as bad as Microsoft, but on the other hand it sort of is, because they have literally, not literally, I don't know if it's been every year, but most years they have a new version of some kind coming out for their DS line.
And most of those are just cosmetic though, and
people still
they're designed
buy
to
it.
sell with a game.
Yes, but people buy it like it's something they need to go hoard, like a bunch of hoarders. And Nintendo knows that people are going to do this.
Yeah, they do count on people
like
rebuying
Apple
the damn 3DS.
And Samsung both do it. All these hardware companies in the mobile market do this. And it's ridiculous. And what's sad is people just eat it up, and I don't understand it. Because I can't connect to that type of fandom. The idea of buying Final Fantasy XII. At least the game is ancient now, and they're bringing it back. It's not something they released 2 years ago, and they're releasing it again, Sony. But at least when Sony did it, I don't remember them charging full price for The Last of Us when they put it on PS4.
They did. It was $60, but they also packed in the system, and it became pretty cheap fast.
Yeah. But it's a ridiculous. What am I saying? I'm like, hey, can you give me this port on Switch? But at least with the Switch, I still had the excuse that it's a fucking mobile console.
Yep.
And I want all these games on it so I can play it on the go. Like, I would love Bayonetta, and give me Twilight Princess, please.
Man, you did miss out on having not played Twilight Princess by now.
I mean, I got to play a little bit because my brother did get it on the Wii, but yeah, I did miss out on it for the most part. It would just be nice to be able to play some of these games that, will not having to deal with the motion controls.
Yeah. So that's the thing I want to skip about so many games, because I've still got games that I've not played yet, and I want to, but it's so hard to go back to the Wii sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I like the Wii. I don't hate the Wii like so many other people did, but damn, some of the motion controls are so bad.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I've almost got this boss beat, but he's got one little bit of health left, and that's enough to make him hard to kill.
Tap, 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 tap.
I cannot imagine how weird this sounds on the other end. Oh my god, I beat him. Holy shit.
Thank God.
He's like, but will you at least buy my album of metal music about Charlemagne?
Yes, since you're dead, and I don't get nothing new from you anymore.
This is actually twice sad because Christopher Lee is actually dead. And Christopher Lee was awesome. Rest in peace, Christopher Lee. Fuck you, Count Dooku. And here's some more Content ID material, because it played the next clip from the movie.
Does it actually play the movie?
Dude, it's actually like the movie.
Oh, God.
It's like actual movie clips, and they're decent quality. I imagine this was like the next best thing to owning the DVD before the DVD came out. Oh. I forgot that I have a force heal power, but it's okay.
Like anyone ever fucking use it.
I would have just now if I thought about it, but at the same time I needed it.
We've seen a lot of force powers used in the Star Wars movies, but not a damn soul has ever used that fucking force heal ability. All these innocent people who die, and they're sitting there standing over them as they're dying, and they've not one motherfucker has ever done the force healing.
And that's funny you mention that, because force healing is not in the movies at all. It's in the video games, and it's in the books. Yes. There are force healers in the books.
That's what I'm saying, and not one motherfucker in any of those movies try to heal anybody.
Oh, man. You're like, Obi-Wan should be getting some force healing right now. Instead, Anakin's just carrying him on his back like, I'm a badass. And that's it.
It's like, you could just heal me. Shut up, fool.
You're unconscious, bitch. But no, you're right. Force healing is a thing. It is in the old Star Wars canon. It's not in this game. Oh, look, Obi-Wan's awake. Oh man, I'll tell you what, the lightsaber duels in this game are going to be tough as balls, but the controls for them are not awful. They could be a little bit clearer on what you can do to survive the fights without completely dying over and over and over again several times while you figure out the best way to handle it. But I've played worse movie tie-in games than this. This isn't that bad. It's shallow as hell, but I didn't expect it to be deep. I needed something I could be button mashy with while we did a book review. So, yeah. Oh. And also, there's like a blue force wall here that I can't get past. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So, have we got anything else that we want to talk about on the show this week?
Well, I don't think so. I don't remember seeing anything. Everything was pretty dead.
Yeah, it's like there's been news on gaming this week, but none of it's been interesting. And it's really weird. Like, we look forward to E3 every year, but when it's over, it's quiet for like a month. So, well, anyway, thank you all for listening / watching to the Z Trigger podcast for this week. And, stick around if you're watching the live stream, because we will be continuing with another show shortly. If you enjoy what we do, come and subscribe to us on Facebook, on Twitter as Z Trigger Live. You can subscribe on Podbean or even on iTunes and all that. If you enjoy our show and you want to continue listening over time. I'm getting mauled right now. Sorry. And come back and check in with us. We got the new Expanded Universe episode coming out in a couple days, and that is the book. That's the show we're about to record. So if you're watching live, you're in the right place to get into some more Star Wars fun with the Z Trigger crew. Also, Trent will be joining us for that show, so that is another reason to come and enjoy the fun with us. And but yeah, come back and check out with us next week, and we will see you then. Thank you, and good night.
Laters.